Kale Lowry has Gypsy-Rose Blanchard on her podcast and they're promoting her book. I'm minding my business through my little Insta, okay? And I see that Kale posted something, so I said, okay, let me go ahead and check it out. And they're talking about how we read, we don't judge. Kale, I love you, girl. This was not something that I was expecting to see. And it was funny because Kale had posted something earlier saying, oh, guess who I'm gonna collab with? And I was really wondering, like, oh, I wonder who it's gonna be. This was not what I was expecting. Literally promoting her book. I'm shocked. Literally shook it. Like, this was not what I was expecting at all.
So, Kale, are you really supporting a woman that used a man with autism, a low IQ, and was collecting a permanent disability check with other mental health issues? Is that what you're doing now, Kale? Because I had a whole lot more respect for you. I actually have always respected you a lot for how you handle business and how well you take care of your kids. But the fact that this woman is on here lying and you are playing into this, wow.
Let me give you the full scoop on the drama unraveling around Kale Lowry and her controversial podcast episode. Buckle up, because this one's a roller coaster. You know Kale, the unapologetic queen of podcasting, right? She's built her brand on being real and outspoken, especially with her hit show Barely Famous. But this time, Kale has landed herself in hot water. And trust me, I don't think she anticipated the backlash coming her way. Before we dive any deeper into this messy drama, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest tea. Your support means the world. Here's what went down. Kale decided to shake things up by inviting Gypsy, yes, that Gypsy, to promote her new book. And let's just say, fans are absolutely livid. Gypsy Medical Lab has always been a magnet for controversy, and Kale hasn't exactly been her biggest supporter in the past. In fact, Kale's been pretty vocal about her disapproval of Gypsy's antics over the years.
All right, Gypsy, thank you for coming on the Barely Famous podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I read your book cover to cover in a couple hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I run an online book club, so this was right up my alley.
Oh, perfect.
Remember when Gypsy announced her pregnancy with her boyfriend Ken? Kale didn't hold back, calling out Gypsy for oversharing every single detail, right down to what Kale referred to as a gas station period.
Gypsy announced on social media herself that she is in fact pregnant. Now, whatever floats your boat. Nobody was happy when I announced my pregnancy with Lux, tried to hide it, tried to do all of that, and wanted to keep it private, la-di-da, right? So I've been there. I've also been really excited and announced on social media also, so I get that. My concern is, there are several concerns, right? And not really my business, but because it's out there, I'm gonna comment like y'all do to me. She gives her exact gestational week, I guess you could say. She says she's 11 weeks, so she didn't even pick to keep that private, I feel.
Back then, Kale was rolling her eyes so hard it was almost audible. And let's not forget the Love After Lockup era. Kale publicly roasted Gypsy's reality TV stunts, especially the way she treated her mom, Diddy. While Kale admitted she's had her own struggles with her mom, she made it clear she'd never crossed the line like Gypsy did. Kale even opened up about how the guilt of not speaking to her own mom weighs on her daily, which makes this sudden collaboration even more confusing.
At 32 years old, we don't know how many surgeries she's had, but she's had chemo. I don't know if she actually had that or if the mom just was saying that. She's had her teeth extracted. She's had the feeding tube. She's had all kinds of surgeries.
So why the change of heart? Fans are scratching their heads and firing up the comments section, questioning Kale's integrity. For someone who's built her reputation on calling out manipulative behavior, teaming up with Gypsy feels like a massive contradiction. To make things worse, fans had been hoping for a completely different kind of guest, Gypsy's ex Ryan. Ryan, who's arguably one of the people most affected by Gypsy's messy history, was the person everyone wanted to hear from. But instead of getting his side of the story, fans were blindsided when Kale brought Gypsy onto the show.
So, Kale, are you really supporting a woman that used a man with autism, a low IQ, and was collecting a permanent disability check with other mental health issues? Is that what you're doing now, Kale? Because I had a whole lot more respect for you. I actually have always respected you a lot for how you handle business and how well you take care of your kids. But the fact that this woman is on here lying and you are playing into this, wow, that's deep.
And don't even get me started on the promotional build-up for this episode. Kale teased her audience for days with cryptic hints about a surprise guest, hyping up what she claimed would be one of her most explosive episodes yet. When Gypsy finally appeared in the promo clips, the fan reactions were a mix of shock and outrage. In one teaser, Gypsy participated in Kale's "We Listen and Don't Judge" segment, revealing jaw-dropping details like drinking from a baby bottle as an adult and stealing her mom's medications to get high.
We listen and we don't judge. You're first.
Okay, so I'm first. So I used a baby bottle until I was an adult.
We all have trauma. We listen and we don't judge. I also thought about using my mom's meds to self-medicate. Relatable?
Yeah, pretty much.
We listen and we don't judge.
So I also used to steal my mom's pain medication to get high.
We listen and we don't judge.
Kale, meanwhile, seemed completely engrossed, hanging on to every word as if this was groundbreaking content. Fans, however, were not impressed. The general consensus? Kale sold out for views. Sure, the episode racked up attention, but it's coming at a cost. Longtime supporters are calling her out for compromising her values and contradicting her previous stances on Gypsy's behavior. Many are now questioning whether Kale's authenticity, the very thing that made her podcast a hit, is all just an act. And this might only be the tip of the iceberg. Gypsy's appearance has reignited debates about her controversial past, with many pointing out how she's consistently managed to twist narratives to her advantage. Meanwhile, Kale's decision to give her a platform has fans wondering if this marks a turning point in Kale's career, and not in a good way. So, what's next for Kale? Can she recover from this PR disaster and regain the trust of her audience? Or has she permanently tarnished her reputation as the no-nonsense, tell-it-like-it-is podcaster? One thing's for sure, this saga is far from over, and the drama is only heating up. Stay tuned because we're in for a wild ride. But then how did she figure out how to get high? Like, really? The math ain't massin', babe. And don't forget, Kale herself spilled in a previous episode about how Gypsy lied to CPS as a child and ran away to live with her boyfriend. Fast forward to now, and there Gypsy is on Kale's podcast, shamelessly promoting her alleged book written in prison, acting like none of this ever happened. Kale looked way too excited to have Gypsy there, like, girl, you knew this was going to attract views and boost your pockets, but at what cost? Did she even think about the backlash? Clearly not. The reactions from fans? Whew, Chile. Bitter doesn't even begin to describe it. They were not here for it, especially after Kale previously invited Ryan, Gypsy's ex, to come on the podcast and share his side of the story. Instead, Kale flipped the script and brought Gypsy on first, leaving fans totally blindsided. When someone asked if she only hosted Gypsy because Ryan hadn't come on yet, Kale just responded with a laughing emoji. Like, girl, what kind of answer is that? Fans are saying Kale's decision shows she cares more about clout and cash than staying true to her values. And honestly, can you blame them? Kale has always been respected for keeping it real, but this move felt so off-brand. People are out here calling for boycotts of any platform giving Gypsy airtime. And now, Kale's podcast is on that list. And let's talk about Gypsy's whole vibe during the episode. She played Kale like a fiddle, from revealing bizarre tidbits like drinking out of a baby bottle as an adult and stealing her mom's meds, to dropping self-medicating anecdotes. Gypsy had Kale eating it all up like it was tea time. Fans weren't amused. They'd seen Gypsy weave lies on other platforms and didn't want more of the same. Some are even saying they'll skip this episode altogether because they're tired of Gypsy's manipulations. What's really got fans fuming is the deeper question. How would Kale feel if someone like Gypsy was manipulating one of her kids? Like, picture this. Gypsy messing with one of Kale's sons, spinning lies, and then profiting off the aftermath. Would Kale still be so quick to offer her a platform? It's a messy scenario, but fans aren't letting her off the hook. The real tea, though, is the fan betrayal. People have always admired Kale for her candidness, her hustle, and the way she's handled her business as a single mom. She's got 6 boys and a girl to take care of, so fans expected her to stick to her values. But this move? It's giving cash grab. And let's be real, bringing Gypsy on wasn't just about views. It was about clout. Kale saw an opportunity for a viral moment and snatched it.
Kale Lowry has Gypsy-Rose Blanchard on her podcast, and they're promoting her book. I'm minding my business through my little Insta, okay? And I see that Kale posted something, so I said, okay, let me go ahead and check it out. And they're talking about how we read, we don't judge. Kale, I love you, girl. This was not something that I was expecting to see. And it was funny because Kale had posted something earlier saying, oh, guess who I'm gonna collab with? And I was really wondering, like, oh, I wonder who it's gonna be. This was not what I was expecting. Literally promoting her book. I'm shocked. Literally shook it. Like, this was not what I was expecting at all. Now, I did see that Gypsy was following Kale on her Instagram, but I didn't think anything of it because, Kale follows a bunch of people, Gypsy follows a bunch of people. Like, it really doesn't matter who follows who. So it really didn't click for me. It's clicking, but I am interested to see what Kale has to say in regards to the book. I want a review, girl, a whole review.
Ignoring the fact that Gypsy's reputation is pure chaos energy. And can we address Gypsy's calculated timing? Ryan, her ex, was supposed to be on the show first. Fans were hyped to hear his side of the breakup, and all the messy details, Gypsy conveniently leaves out of her story. Instead, Gypsy swoops in, steals the spotlight, and ensures her narrative dominates. It's almost like she wanted to overshadow Ryan completely, making it harder for him to come on later and tell the truth. But coincidence? I think not. Gypsy knows how to play the game, and Kale fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Let's not forget the absolute circus that was Gypsy's episode. She dropped bizarre confessions about drinking from a baby bottle as an adult, what even, and stealing her mom's meds to get high. Meanwhile, Kale sat there eating it all up like it was primetime tea. Fans weren't impressed. They're tired of Gypsy using every platform to spread her chaos, and Kale giving her a stage felt like a slap in the face. The comment section on Kale's socials is a war zone. One fan asked, "How would you feel if someone like Gypsy manipulated one of your sons?" And honestly, that's a question Kale can't just laugh off with an emoji. People are livid that she didn't consider the implications of giving Gypsy more relevance. Kale's always been the one to call out toxic behavior, but now she's practically endorsing it by association. And the fallout doesn't stop there. Fans are calling for boycotts, not just of Kale's podcast, but of any show that gives Gypsy a platform. Kale's Barely Famous has always been a fan favorite because of its raw and unexpected conversations, but this was a step too far. Some fans are straight up saying they'll skip this episode entirely because they're tired of Gypsy's lies and manipulations. Now, here's where it gets even juicier. What if Gypsy's entire appearance was a power play? She's no stranger to throwing shade at Ryan, and this could have been another calculated move to stay one step ahead of him. By coming on first, she ensures her version of events takes center stage, making it harder for Ryan to counter her claims later. Gypsy is messy, but she's smart about her mess, and this feels like another one of her master manipulations. And here's a juicy theory for you. Was Gypsy's appearance on Kale's podcast just another one of her calculated moves? Ryan was supposed to come on the show first, but Gypsy swooped in. Could this have been her way of stealing his thunder and making sure her version of events took center stage? Gypsy's track record for throwing subtle shade at Ryan makes this all seem way too convenient. It's giving master manipulator, babe. The fallout for Kale, though? It's bad. Like, really bad. People are saying just giving Gypsy this platform was a form of support, even if Kale didn't outright endorse her. And that's why fans are done. They feel betrayed, and it's hard to blame them. Kale has worked hard to build her brand as someone who's raw and unfiltered, but now, this move has fans wondering if she's just another influencer chasing clout. What do you think, though? Has Kale officially fumbled the bag with this one? Are fans justified in turning on her, or is this all just overblown? And do you think Gypsy really came on the show to overshadow Ryan? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next update because, honey, this tea isn't cooling down anytime soon. Let's get started on our discussion of the fan tea.